The stars looked cold through the window of the transport ship. June pressed his face against the glass and watched them pass by, one after another, like tiny lights in an endless dark room. He was only 23 years old, but today he felt much younger. Today, he felt like a child going to his first day at a new school. The transport ship carried 5 human cadets. They sat in a small room with metal walls and uncomfortable seats. None of them had met before this morning. None of them knew why the Galactic Council had chosen them specifically. All they knew was that they were going to different alien warships, and they would work alone. Minho sat across from June. He was a tall young man with steady hands and calm eyes. He was trained as an engineer, someone who fixed broken machines and built new ones. He had spent 3 years learning how alien technology worked. Now he would use that knowledge on a real alien ship. Next to Minho sat Hana. She was small but fierce, with short black hair and a sharp mind. She specialized in communications. She could make any 2 systems talk to each other, even if they spoke completely different languages. The council said her skills were rare and valuable. Yuna sat by the door, her legs crossed and her eyes closed. She was a navigator, someone who could read star maps and plot courses through dangerous space. She had a gift for seeing patterns where others saw only chaos. Her instructors said she could find a path through anything. The last cadet was Taeyong. He leaned against the wall with his arms folded, watching everyone else. He was the weapons specialist. He knew how to operate every gun, every missile system, every defensive shield that existed in the galaxy. He was also the quietest of the group. A screen on the wall flickered to life. An alien face appeared. It was a Vorian, one of the oldest species in the galaxy. The Vorians had gray skin, 4 eyes, and voices that sounded like wind through caves. "Human cadets," the Vorian said. "I am Commander Selvok. I will explain your mission." The 5 cadets straightened in their seats and listened. 3 days ago, our fleet detected an enemy presence near the Crimson Nebula. We have 12 warships in that sector. Each ship needs additional crew members to prepare for possible combat. You 5 will be assigned to 5 different ships. June raised his hand. "Sir, why are we being separated? We work better as a team." Commander Selvok's 4 eyes blinked slowly. "That is not how the Galactic Fleet operates. Each soldier performs their duty on their assigned ship. There is no need for team coordination. Each ship is independent. Each crew member is independent. This is how we have fought wars for 10,000 years." Minho leaned forward. "But sir, humans are different. We train together. We fight together. Separating us might cause problems." The commander made a sound that might have been a laugh. "We have studied humans. Your species is young and emotional. But you are also adaptable. You will learn to work alone. The Galactic Council believes in your potential. Do not disappoint us." The screen went dark. The 5 cadets looked at each other. No one spoke for a long moment. "Well," Hana said finally, "this should be interesting." The transport ship began to slow down. Through the window, June could see the fleet. 12 massive warships floated in formation, each one larger than any building he had ever seen on Earth. They were shaped like arrows, pointed and dangerous, covered in weapons and armor. "They look scary," Yuna said softly. "They are scary," Taeyong replied. "That's the point." One by one, the cadets were dropped off at their assigned ships. June went first. He walked through a long tunnel and stepped onto an alien warship called the Iron Claw. The walls were made of dark metal. The lights were dim and blue. Everything smelled strange, like metal and something sweet he could not name. An alien officer met him at the entrance. This one was not a Vorian. It was a Kelthian, a species with 6 limbs and skin like tree bark. "You are the human," the Kelthian said. It was not a question. "Yes, sir. Cadet June, reporting for duty. Follow me. You will work in the observation deck. Your job is to monitor sensor data and report anything unusual. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir." The Kelthian led him through narrow hallways. Other aliens walked past them, all different species, all wearing the same gray uniforms. None of them looked at June. None of them seemed curious about the human in their midst. June felt very alone. When he reached the observation deck, he found a small room with screens covering every wall. Data scrolled across the screens in languages he did not fully understand. A single chair sat in the middle of the room. "This is your station," the Kelthian said. "Do your job. Do not cause trouble. Do not contact other ships unless there is an emergency. Is that clear?" "Yes, sir." The Kelthian left without another word. June sat in the chair and looked at the screens. So much information. So many numbers and symbols and lights. He took a deep breath and tried to focus, but his mind kept wandering to the other cadets. Where was Minho now? What was Hana doing? Were Yuna and Taeyong feeling as lost as he was? He reached for his communication device. It was a small piece of technology attached to his wrist, standard human equipment. The aliens had allowed them to keep it because it was harmless. June typed a quick message. "Hey everyone, I made it to my ship. How are you all doing?" He sent it before he could change his mind. The responses came quickly. "Minho. I'm in the engine room of a ship called the Stormblade. The engines here are amazing. Minho. Also confusing. I think I touched something I shouldn't have. Hana. I'm on the Silent Hunter. The communications array is huge. I'm trying to figure out how it works. Miss you all already. Yuna. Navigation deck of the Voidwalker. The star maps here are beautiful, also terrifying. There are so many places marked danger and unknown. Taeyong. Weapons bay of the Fire Lance. Everything here is designed to kill. I fit right in. Stay safe, everyone." June smiled at the messages. They were not supposed to contact each other. Commander Selvak had made that clear. Each ship was independent. Each crew member was independent. But humans were not built to be alone. Humans needed connection. They needed to know that somewhere out there, someone cared about them. As the fleet began to move toward the Crimson Nebula, June watched the stars through his screens. The mission was about to begin. The enemy was waiting, and 5 young humans were scattered across 5 different ships, trying to button their own coats in a universe that expected them to work alone. They did not know it yet, but they were about to prove everyone wrong. The first problem started on Minho's ship. The Stormblade was an old warship, one of the first built by the Vorian Empire. Its engines were powerful but complicated. Minho stood in the engine room and stared at a machine that was making sounds it should not make. "That is not good," he said to himself. The alien engineers around him did not seem worried. They walked past the shaking machine like it was normal. Maybe it was normal for them. Maybe Vorian engines always made sounds like dying animals. But Minho was human, and humans worried about things. He pulled out his communication device and sent a message to the group. "Quick question. Does anyone know what a Vorian Type 7 engine sounds like when it's healthy?" Hana replied first. "Why? Is something wrong?" "Maybe. The engine on my ship sounds like it's crying." Yuna sent a message. "Crying how? Like sad crying, or angry crying?" Minho thought about it. Angry crying. Definitely angry. Taeyong's response was simple. "Engines don't cry. Check the fuel lines." "Already did. They look fine." "Check them again." Minho sighed and walked toward the fuel lines. The alien engineers watched him with their many eyes. They did not speak to him. They did not help him. He was just a human. A young creature from a young planet. What could he possibly know? He checked the fuel lines again. This time, he noticed something strange. There was a small crack in one of the pipes. Fuel was leaking. Just a tiny amount, but enough to cause problems. "Found it," he typed to his friends. "There's a crack in the fuel line. I'm going to fix it." "Be careful," June replied. Minho grabbed his tools and got to work. The crack was small, so the repair should be simple. He sealed the pipe with a special material that hardened quickly. The job took only 10 minutes. But when he finished, the engine stopped making crying sounds. It started making screaming sounds. "Oh no," Minho whispered. Red lights flashed across the engine room. Alarms began to ring. The alien engineers finally looked worried. One of them ran to a control panel and started pressing buttons. "Human," the engineer shouted. "What did you do?" "I fixed the fuel line." "You sealed it with the wrong material. That material reacts with Vorian fuel. You have made things worse." Minho felt his heart drop into his stomach. He had made a mistake. A big mistake. And now the whole ship was in trouble. He grabbed his communication device. "Emergency. I made a mistake on my ship. The engine is going crazy. I need help." The responses came immediately. "Hana. What kind of help? I'm on a different ship." "Yuna. Can you describe what's happening? Maybe I can find something in the navigation logs." Tae-young. "Is the ship going to explode?" "I don't know," Minho typed frantically. "Maybe." June's message appeared. "Stay calm. Tell us exactly what you did and what happened." Minho explained everything. The crack, the material he used, the reaction with the fuel. His friends listened and thought. Hana was the first to offer a solution. "Okay, I have an idea. The communications array on my ship is connected to the fleet network. I might be able to access your ship's systems from here and help you shut down the engine safely. Can you do that?" Minho asked. "I don't know. I've never tried. But there's a first time for everything." Hana ran to her station on the Silent Hunter. The communications array was massive, with hundreds of buttons and screens. She found the one that connected to the fleet network and started typing commands. Her alien supervisor, a tall creature with wings and sharp teeth, walked over to her. "What are you doing, human?" "Helping a friend," Hana said without looking up. "You are not authorized to access other ships' systems." "I know. But if I don't, one of our ships might explode. Would you like that?" The supervisor did not answer. It simply watched as Hana worked. On the Stormblade, Minho watched his screens flash with new data. Someone was accessing his ship's engine controls from outside. That someone was Hana. "I'm in," she typed. "I can see your engine systems. Give me a minute." "We might not have a minute." "Then give me 30 seconds. Hana worked as fast as she could. She found the emergency shutdown sequence and activated it. But something went wrong. The command did not go to the Stormblade's engine. It went somewhere else. On the Voidwalker, Yuna suddenly found all her navigation screens going dark. "What just happened?" she asked out loud. Her alien colleagues looked at each other in confusion. One of them checked the systems and made a sound of frustration. "Someone just sent a shutdown command to our navigation computers. We cannot see where we are going." Quote, Yuna grabbed her communication device. "Hana, did you just break my ship?" "I'm sorry. The command got rerouted somehow. I don't know how." "Well, figure it out. We're flying blind here." On the Firelance, Tae-young noticed something strange on his weapons console. New codes were appearing on his screen, codes he did not recognize. "What is this?" he muttered. He tried to clear the codes, but they kept coming back. They were mixing with his weapons' targeting systems, changing the settings, making everything unstable. "Guys," he typed to the group, "I think my weapons just got connected to something they shouldn't be connected to." June watched from his observation deck as alerts popped up across the fleet network. Something was happening. Ships were talking to each other in ways they were not supposed to. Systems were crossing over, tangling together like threads in a messy knot. And it was all because 5 humans could not stop themselves from helping each other. Commander Selvok's face appeared on June's screen. The Vorian looked angry. All 4 of his eyes were narrowed into thin slits. "Human," the commander said, "what is happening to my fleet?" June swallowed hard. "I'm not sure, sir. But I think my friends are trying to fix a problem." "Your friends are creating more problems. The Stormblade's engine is offline. The Voidwalker cannot navigate. The Firelance's weapons are malfunctioning, and the Silent Hunter is sending unauthorized signals across the entire network." "I understand, sir. But if you just give us a chance." "A chance?" The commander's voice rose. "You have had your chance. This is exactly why we told you to work alone. Humans cannot be trusted to follow simple orders." Commander's voice rose. Humans cannot be trusted to follow simple orders. Sir, please listen. We're not trying to cause chaos. We're trying to help each other. That's what humans do. We don't work well alone. We work well together. Together? You are on 5 different ships. How can you possibly work together? June looked at his screens. The data was chaotic, confusing, impossible to understand. But somewhere in that chaos, he could see patterns. He could see his friends reaching out, trying to connect, trying to fix things even when they made mistakes. I don't know how, June admitted. But we're going to figure it out. Just give us time. Commander Selvok stared at him for a long moment. Then the screen went dark. June took a deep breath and typed a message to his friends. Okay, everyone. We've made a mess. Now let's clean it up. Together. The responses came back, one by one. Minho. Ready. Hana. Ready. Yuna. Ready. Taehyung. Let's do this. 5 humans on 5 different ships, separated by thousands of kilometers of cold space. They had tried to button their own coats, and they had buttoned them to each other instead. Now they had to figure out how to make that work. The fleet drifted through space like a wounded animal. 5 ships were having problems. The other 7 watched nervously, unsure what was happening or why. On the observation deck of the Iron Claw, June stared at his screens and tried to understand the mess his friends had created. It was like looking at a bowl of noodles that someone had stirred too many times. Everything was tangled. Everything was connected in ways it should not be. Okay, he typed to the group. Let's figure out what we're dealing with. Minho, what's your status? Minho's reply came quickly. Engine is still offline. But Hana's shutdown command didn't actually shut it down. It just confused it. The engine is waiting for instructions. But it doesn't know who to listen to anymore. Why not? Because Hana's command came from a different ship. The engine thinks it has 2 captains now. It won't move until someone tells it who's in charge. June nodded slowly. That made sense in a strange way. Hana, what about you? Hana's message appeared. I'm stuck in the Stormblade systems. When I tried to access Minho's engine, I accidentally created a permanent link between my communications array and his engine room. Every signal I send now goes to both places. Can you break the link? I tried, but if I break it, I might crash both systems completely. It's safer to leave it connected for now. Great, June muttered. Yuna, what happened to your navigation? Yuna's response was longer. When Hana's command got rerouted to my ship, it didn't just shut down my navigation, it merged my star maps with the Stormblade's engine data. Now my screens show both navigation routes and engine temperatures at the same time. I can see exactly where the fleet is going and exactly how hot Minho's engine is getting. Is that useful? I have no idea, but it's very confusing. June almost laughed. Almost. Taehyung, what about the weapons? Taehyung took longer to respond. When he did, his message was worrying. The codes that appeared on my screen are Yuna's navigation codes. They got mixed with my targeting systems. Now my weapons are aimed at every point on Yuna's star maps. Every planet. Every star. Every asteroid. If I fire, I'll hit something. I just don't know what. 2. Don't fire. June typed quickly. Wasn't planning to. June leaned back in his chair and rubbed his eyes. The situation was ridiculous. Minho's repairs had connected to Hana's communications. Hana's commands had connected to Yuna's navigation. Yuna's data had connected to Taehyung's weapons. And somewhere in the middle, June sat watching it all happen, trying to make sense of a puzzle that had no picture on the box. He sent a new message. Okay, let me summarize. Minho's engine is waiting for orders. Hana is linked to Minho's systems. Yuna is linked to both Hana and Minho. Taehyung is linked to Yuna. And I can see all of you on my observation screens because the fleet network is showing me everything. That sounds about right, Minho replied. We're a mess, Hana added. A beautiful mess, Yuna said with a small joke. Taehyung was more practical. Can we fix it? June thought for a long moment. The tangled connections were a problem, but they were also something else. They were a network. An accidental network that connected 5 humans across 5 ships. Maybe we don't need to fix it, he typed slowly. Maybe we need to use it. Use it how? Minho asked. Before June could answer, his screen flashed with a new alert. Commander Selvok's face appeared again. But this time, the Vorian did not look angry. He looked scared. Human, the commander said, his voice shaking. We have a bigger problem. What happened? Enemy ships. They were hiding in the Crimson Nebula. 30 of them. They just appeared on our sensors. They're coming straight for us. June's blood went cold. 30 ships? We only have 12. I know, and 5 of our ships are currently malfunctioning because of your friends. Sir, there is no time for apologies. We need solutions. Can your ships fight? June looked at his screens. The Stormblade's engine was offline. The Voidwalker's navigation was confused. The Firelance's weapons were unstable. The Silent Hunter's communications were linked to everything. I don't know, he admitted. But we're going to try. He typed a message to his friends. Enemy incoming. 30 ships. We need to fight. Are you ready? The responses came fast. Minho, my engine is still confused, but maybe I can wake it up. Hana, if I'm linked to Minho, maybe I can help him control the engine from here. Yuna, my navigation is mixed with engine data. If Minho moves his ship, I might be able to see where he's going before he knows. Taeyoung, my weapons are aimed everywhere. That's terrifying. But maybe it's also useful. June smiled, despite the fear in his heart. His friends were not giving up. They were finding ways to turn their mistakes into advantages. Okay, he typed. Here's what we're going to do. We're not going to untangle this mess. We're going to use it. Hana, you're going to give orders to Minho's engine. Minho, you're going to work with Yuna to coordinate movement. Yuna, you're going to feed targeting data to Taeyoung. And Taeyoung, you're going to shoot anything that gets close. What about you? Minho asked. June looked at his observation screens. He could see everything. Every ship. Every system. Every connection. He was at the center of the tangle. I'm going to watch and guide. I'll tell you what I see. I'll help you work together. That's a lot of responsibility, Hana said. I know, but someone has to do it. The enemy ships appeared on June's screens. They were fast and sharp, like arrows flying through the darkness. The fleet had maybe 10 minutes before they arrived. 10 minutes to turn chaos into something useful. June sent one last message to his friends. Remember, we're humans. We don't work alone. We button each other's coats. That's our strength. Let's show these aliens what that means. The 5 cadets took their positions. On 5 different ships, separated by thousands of kilometers, they prepared to fight as one. The tangle had been an accident. Now it was going to become a weapon. Hana sent her first command to Minho's engine. Wake up. We have work to do. The Stormblade roared back to life. Yuna watched her screens and saw the engine data change. She typed coordinates to Taeyoung. Enemy ship, at point 7 to 3. Can you hit it? Taeyoung checked his targeting system. The navigation codes had locked onto that exact point. I can hit it. Just tell me when. Minho pushed his engine forward, and Hana guided the power flow from her station. The Stormblade moved faster than it had ever moved before, and June watched it all, seeing patterns in the chaos, finding order in the mess. The aliens had said humans were too young and too emotional. They had said humans could not work alone. They were right about one thing. Humans could not work alone, but that was never a weakness. It was always their greatest strength. The enemy ships hit the fleet like a storm. They came from all directions, fast and deadly, firing weapons that lit up the darkness of space. The Galactic fleet tried to respond, but their ships moved slowly. Each captain gave orders only to their own crew. Each ship fought alone. That was how the aliens had always done things. That was how they had fought wars for 10,000 years. It was not working. June watched his screens as 2 galactic ships took heavy damage in the first minute. Their shields flickered and died. Their engines sputtered. They drifted away from the battle. Helpless. This is bad, he typed to his friends. The fleet is losing. Then let's change that, Minho replied. On the Stormblade, Minho felt his engine come alive under Hana's guidance. She was sending commands from the Silent Hunter, adjusting power levels and fuel flow with perfect timing. It was like having two pilots instead of one. Move left, Hana typed. Enemy ship coming from your right. Minho turned the Stormblade left. The enemy ship flew past, missing its target. Before it could turn around, Tae-young fired from the fire lance. The weapons hit perfectly because Yuna had already sent the targeting data. The enemy ship exploded in a ball of fire. One down, Tae-young reported. 29 to go, Yuna added. The 5 humans worked in perfect harmony. They were on different ships, but they moved like a single creature. Hana controlled engines from far away. Yuna fed navigation data to everyone. Tae-young fired at targets before they could shoot back. Minho made his ship dance through enemy fire. And June watched everything, guiding his friends like a conductor guiding an orchestra. The alien crews watched in amazement. On the Iron Claw, a Kelthian officer stood behind June and stared at his screens. How are you doing this? The officer asked. Doing what? June replied without looking away from his work. Coordinating with other ships. Sharing information. Working together. It's what humans do. But our ships are designed to work independently. Our systems are not meant to connect, June smiled. We connected them anyway. The Kelthian made a sound that might have been surprise or confusion. It did not say anything more. The battle continued. The 5 human-influenced ships moved in patterns that no alien could understand. The Stormblade would charge forward, drawing enemy fire. Then it would suddenly turn, and the fire lance would hit the distracted enemies. Meanwhile, the Silent Hunter would send signals that confused enemy communications. And the Voidwalker would calculate escape routes for any galactic ship in danger. The Iron Claw, where June sat, became the brain of the operation. Every piece of information flowed through its observation deck. June sorted through the data and sent instructions to his friends. He told Minho when to move. He told Hana when to boost power. He told Yuna where enemies were hiding. He told Tae-young when to fire. It was exhausting. It was thrilling. It was working. 3 more enemies down, Tae-young reported. 4 ships are retreating, Yuna added. They're scared. Good, June typed. Keep pushing. The galactic fleet began to rally. The other 7 ships saw what the 5 human-connected ships were doing. They did not understand it, but they could see it was effective. Slowly, carefully, they began to follow the patterns. Commander Selvok's face appeared on June's screen. The Vorian still looked worried, but there was something else in his 4 eyes now. Something like hope. Human, the commander said. What you are doing should not be possible. And yet here we are, June replied. Your ships are moving as one. Your systems are sharing information in real time. This breaks every rule of fleet combat. Maybe the rules need to change. The commander was silent for a moment. Then he made a decision. All ships, this is Commander Selvok. Follow the pattern set by the 5 human-connected vessels. Do what they do. Move how they move. Fight how they fight. June felt his heart skip a beat. The entire fleet was going to follow them now. That was a lot of pressure. Did you hear that? He typed to his friends. I heard it, Minho replied. No pressure, right? We can do this, Hana said. Just don't mess up, Tae-young added. Yuna's message was more practical. I'm sending new navigation data to all ships. They can follow our movements now. The battle shifted. 12 galactic ships began to move in coordination, following the patterns set by 5 young humans. The enemy fleet, which had expected an easy victory, suddenly found themselves facing something they had never seen before. The galactic fleet was fighting as one organism. Enemy ships tried to escape, but Yuna's navigation data tracked them. They tried to hide, but June's observation screens found them. They tried to attack, but Tae-young's weapons cut them down. They tried to outmaneuver the fleet, but Minho and Hana made the Stormblade faster than anything they had ever faced. One by one, the enemy ships fell. 20 became 15, 15 became 10, 10 became 5. The last 5 enemy ships turned and fled into the Crimson Nebula. They disappeared into the red clouds, running away from a battle they had expected to win. The Galactic Fleet had survived. More than that, it had won. June slumped back in his chair, completely exhausted. His hands were shaking. His eyes were burning. But he was smiling. "We did it," he typed to his friends. "We actually did it." Minho agreed. "I can't believe it worked," Hana said. "I can," Yuna replied. "We're humans. This is what we do." Taehyung's message was short but meaningful. "Good fight, everyone. Good fight." The alien crews on all 5 ships were staring at their human cadets with new eyes. These young creatures from a young planet had just done something impossible. They had turned a tangled mess of systems into a unified weapon. They had made 5 ships work as one. They had buttoned each other's coats. Commander Selvok's face appeared on screens across the entire fleet. His voice was calm now, almost gentle. "The battle is over," he announced. "We have won. And we owe that victory to 5 human cadets who showed us something we had forgotten." He paused, and his 4 eyes seemed to look directly at each of the 5 humans. "We are stronger together than apart." We had forgotten that truth. Today, these humans reminded us. The message ended, and the fleet began to move toward safety. The Crimson Nebula glowed behind them like a dying fire. June looked at his screens one last time. The tangled connections were still there. Minho's engine was still linked to Hana's communications. Yuna's navigation was still mixed with engine data. Taehyung's weapons were still connected to everything. It was still a mess. But it was a beautiful mess. A useful mess. A human mess. And maybe that was exactly what the galaxy needed. 3 days after the battle, the fleet returned to the main space station. The station was called The Gathering, and it was the largest structure June had ever seen. It floated in the darkness like a small moon, covered in lights and landing platforms. The 5 human cadets were brought together for the first time since they had been separated. They stood in a waiting room with metal walls and uncomfortable chairs, just like the transport ship that had carried them to their mission. But everything else had changed. June looked at his friends. Minho had dark circles under his eyes from too many hours in the engine room. Hana's fingers were still moving, like she was typing invisible messages. Yuna kept looking at empty walls, as if she could see star maps there. Taehyung stood with his arms folded, calm and steady as always. They were tired, they were worn out, but they were together. "So," Minho said with a small smile. "That was interesting." "That's one word for it," Hana replied. "I prefer the word impossible," Yuna added. "What we did was impossible, and we did it anyway," Taehyung shrugged. "Impossible is just a word people use when they don't know how to do something." The door opened, and Commander Selvok walked in. Behind him came other officers from different species. Vorians, Kelthians, creatures with wings, and creatures with 6 legs, beings of light and beings of shadow. They filled the room, their many eyes focused on the 5 young humans. "Cadets," Commander Selvok said, "please sit." They sat. The aliens remained standing, watching them like scientists watching a strange new experiment. "What you did during the battle has been analyzed by our best strategists," the commander continued. "We have studied the data. We have reviewed every movement, every command, every connection you made. And we have come to a conclusion." The room was silent. June could hear his own heartbeat. "Your actions broke every rule of fleet combat. You connected systems that were designed to stay separate. You shared information across ships that were meant to work alone. You created chaos." June opened his mouth to defend himself, but the commander raised a hand. "You also saved the fleet. Your chaos became something else. Something we have never seen before. Something we do not fully understand." A Kelthian officer stepped forward. It was the same officer who had watched June during the battle. "I was on the Iron Claw," the Kelthian said. "I watched this human work. He did not fight the chaos. He guided it. He turned disorder into a pattern. I have never seen anything like it." Other officers spoke up. one after another. The Stormblade moved faster than any ship in our fleet. The human called Minho and the human called Hana worked together from different ships. It should not have been possible. But it happened. The Voidwalker's navigation was confused, yet the human called Yuna used that confusion to track enemy movements. She saw patterns in the chaos that our computers missed. The Firelance's weapons were unstable, but the human called Taehyung turned that instability into an advantage. He hit targets that our targeting systems could not even detect. Commander Selvak listened to each report with his 4 eyes closed. When the officers finished speaking, he opened his eyes and looked directly at the 5 cadets. In our culture, he said slowly, independence is strength. Each soldier stands alone. Each ship fights alone. We have believed this for 10,000 years. He paused, and something shifted in his expression. It might have been sadness. It might have been wonder. We were wrong. The words hung in the air like stars. Humans are different. The commander continued. You cannot stand alone. You are not built for independence. When we separated you, you immediately tried to connect. When your connections caused problems, you did not disconnect. You connected more. You tangled yourselves together until you became something new. He gestured at the 5 cadets with all 4 of his arms. You are like threads in a fabric. Alone, each thread is weak. Together, woven properly, threads become cloth. Cloth that is stronger than any single thread could ever be. June felt tears forming in his eyes. He had been afraid that they would be punished for causing chaos. Instead, they were being praised for it. We have a lot to learn from humans, Commander Selvak said. Your species is young. You have only been in space for a short time. But you bring something the galaxy has forgotten. You bring connection. You bring the understanding that strength is not about standing alone. Strength is about holding each other up. He stepped closer to the cadets and lowered his voice. When your cubs button their coats wrong, they do not give up. They help each other. They fix each other's mistakes. They end up tangled together. But they also end up warm. He smiled, or made the Vorian expression that was closest to a smile. The galaxy is cold, young humans. Maybe we all need to learn how to button each other's coats. The meeting ended with a decision. The 5 human cadets would stay together from now on. They would serve on the same ship, working as a team. More importantly, the Galactic Fleet would begin studying human teamwork, trying to understand how to apply it to their own strategies. The aliens had spent 10,000 years perfecting independence. Now they were going to learn connection. As the cadets left the meeting room, Minho put his arm around June's shoulders. Hana took Yuna's hand. Taehyung walked beside them, close enough to touch. They walked through the station like that. 5 friends who had been strangers just a week ago. They had been scattered across 5 ships. They had made mistakes. They had created chaos. And in the end, they had won a battle that should have been lost. Because that was what humans did. They reached for each other. They helped each other. They tangled themselves together in beautiful, messy, wonderful ways. The station's observation window showed the stars outside, cold and distant. But June did not feel cold. He had his friends beside him. He had people who would button his coat when his hands were too clumsy. He had people whose coats he could button in return. So, Hana said as they walked, what do you think happens next? More chaos? Probably, Minho replied with a grin. Definitely more chaos, Yuna agreed. Bring it on, Taehyung said quietly. June laughed. For the first time since he had left Earth, he felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. Not alone on an alien ship. Not separated from everyone he cared about, but together, tangled up with his friends, ready to face whatever came next. The galaxy was vast and strange, and sometimes frightening. But as long as humans had each other, they would never truly be alone. They would always find ways to button each other's coats. And that, June realized, was the greatest strength of all.